The Lincoln Project, launched today and formed by several of Trump's fiercest conservative critics.
The Lincoln Project, including George Conway,
Steve Schmidt,
John Weaver,
Mike Madrid,
Jennifer Horn,
Reed Galen,
Ron Steslow,
Rick Wilson.
There's probably never been an organization sleazier or more vicious in American politics than the Lincoln Project. The Lincoln Project set itself apart from most political organizations by never even addressing, for the most part, ideas or policies. Instead, they went personal, always, immediately, right for the throat. Rather than argue against what Donald Trump might be doing or not doing, the Lincoln Project instead threatened his attorneys and then spread filth about his aides. In January, for example, one Lincoln Project executive bragged that, quote, "We are constructing a database of Trump officials and staff that will detail their roles in the Trump administration and track where they are now." It always sounded a little more like MS-13 than a political operation. There are reports tonight that the FBI is investigating the Lincoln Project, specifically one of its founders, a man called John Weaver.
John Weaver's alleged sexual exploitation of young men, alleged efforts by the corrupt co-founders to try and hide it from the public, according to reports.
Weaver made sexual overtures to dozens of young men and at least one minor.
And as we have explained, there is now evidence building that members of this project were very well aware of these disturbing allegations against Weaver, dating all the way back to the summer, maybe before.
Weaver's colleagues at the Lincoln Project knew this, but they hid the truth from the public and from law enforcement. Inside the organization, they made it clear they understood what was happening.
The Lincoln Project claimed to be shocked, I say, about these revelations, but now we know it was all a lie.
But in his spare time, John Weaver spent enormous energy trying to lure young boys into sex. At least one of those boys was 14 years old.
The AP reports that the Lincoln Project was actually alerted to Weaver's perversion back in June.
The rumors were out there since the 90s, and a lot of these guys running the Lincoln Project had deep financial debts.
Not to ask you about the story about John Weaver, who is a founding member of the Lincoln Project. 21 men accusing him of online harassment. Your organization has a pretty clear statement on this kind of harassment, but wanted to ask you directly about this issue.
Yeah, it's terrible and awful and appalling and unfathomable. I didn't know John very well. I frankly only spoke to him a couple of times on the phone early on in the Lincoln Project.
Yeah, he said, quote, "I didn't know John very well." You didn't know him very well. You co-founded this Lincoln Project thingy, raised more than $80 million last year going into the election. And oh, by the way, there's a op-ed in the New York Times that you co-wrote with Mr. Weaver, talking about how horrible Republicans and Trump are. So you're collaborating with him, you're founding this project, millions of dollars raised, and you barely knew him. It is laughable to see a lie like that told on national television.
But instead of ousting Weaver, well, they stayed silent, maybe hoping no one would find out, as they raked in tens of millions of dollars to line their own pockets and make their stupid ads.
That is how, everything the Lincoln Project claimed Donald Trump was what they were doing and who they are. It is like looking in a mirror. Everything they claimed that he was is what they are.
Why aren't the donors to the Lincoln Project abandoning them? There was a story today saying that some of them are thinking of possibly not funding them anymore. Are you kidding me?
The media was also complicit, of course. Even after Weaver's grotesque behavior was exposed, CNN and MSNBC still invited these creeps to come on and challenge Trump's character.
You realize that the Lincoln Project, I should say, raised, I think it's $90 million, right? But they spent less than half of that in terms of advertising. So the rest of it was going into the pockets of the people who were leading the organization. I think that's the real scandal, you know?
This is an organization that hid pedophilia. It's outrageous, and every single donor should run immediately and apologize for being associated with them.
Was this underage kids?
Yes, yes, there were underage kids, absolutely. Not many of them, but yes, there were.
If this tax reform bill that passed, I use that term loosely, but if this tax cut had passed under a different Republican administration, would you have lauded it?
No, because I really oppose crony capitalism.
Rick Wilson, for instance, is like an open racist. Go look at Rick Wilson's tweets. He's an Islamophobe. His wife posted a picture of a she was on a boat. She posted a picture of a cooler that had a Confederate flag, and it said, "The South will rise again." That's who Rick Wilson is. Rick Wilson is the literal scum of the earth. There are very few human beings that are worse human beings than Rick Wilson is. Rick Wilson is seriously scum of the earth, okay? Of course Rick Wilson doesn't have genuine intents. Give me a break.